This running back class is loaded, dude.
Legit. And it'll be interesting to see where they all go because, positional value, but there's going to be a lot of good backs to come out.
We could see 30 running backs drafted overall. That would be tied for the most since the draft was shrunk to 7 rounds.
We broke down the QB class for 2025, and that's expected to be a bit of a disappointment. That is not the case for the running back group. We've got some studs, some bucking Broncos, some thoroughbreds, some Mustangs, some gypsy vanners, nope, not that one, in the backfield. And I'm breaking down the top runners today. The 2025 NFL Draft is shaping up to be one of the deepest running back classes in recent memory. Which, if we're talking about my memory, that doesn't remember jack shit, that's not that impressive. But it's other people's memory. It's a good one. And while the league has spent the past decade treating running backs like iPhones, use them for about 2 years, then upgrade to the newer model, this past season may have finally reminded teams why investing in a great back can still be a winning formula. The Nokia formula. Just ride that shit as far as you can. After years of running backs being devalued, something changed in 2024. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and even guys like Aaron Jones and James Cook showed that a dominant running back can still make life easier for quarterbacks and tilt the balance of power in an offense. And Jahmyr Gibbs is a great example of drafting a running back high and it paying off. Saquon Barkley's move to the Eagles helped stabilize their offense when Jalen Hurts and the passing game hit some rough patches. Henry, despite being on the wrong side of 30, still ran through defenses like a freight truck with no brakes after landing with the Ravens. Jacobs reminded everyone why he won the rushing title 2 years ago with the Raiders, and teams that had a reliable ground game generally found themselves in playoff contention. James Cook and his 16 rushing TDs doesn't get talked about enough for the Bills' success last year. Hell, the team with the best running back won the GD Super Bowl in a blowout, in part because the threat of Saquon Barkley forced the Chiefs to change their whole defense. After seeing those results, general managers and scouts may be a little more willing to spend premium draft capital on a back this year, especially when the class is this loaded. And it is loaded like my Aunt Beth at Thanksgiving. No, Aunt Beth, nobody wants to see your C-section scar again. Now, not since the legendary 2017 draft class, which gave us Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Dalvin Cook, has a group of backs looked this stacked from top to bottom. This class isn't just top-heavy at the running back position. It boasts depth, versatility, and NFL-ready talent that will be available deep into the second and third rounds and likely beyond. The best of the bunch, without question, is Bashul Tutin out of Virginia Tech. Just kidding, I mostly wanted to say tootin' so my 4-year-old would laugh when she watches this video. And yes, I make her watch my most recent upload before she's allowed to eat dinner. And she loves the word toot. Ashton Jeanty, he's the true blue number 1. The Boise State workhorse isn't just the best running back prospect this year, he's one of the best we have seen in the last several drafts. He put up an absurd 2,601 rushing yards last season, a number so ridiculous it sounds like a typo. Turns out you have to carry the ball 374 times at 7 yards per clip to get to 2,600, and that's exactly what he did even when the defense knew he was the Broncos' number 1 threat. He did fail to surpass Barry Sanders' college rushing record set at 2,628 yards, and if you want to understand how insane Barry was, he did that shit on just 344 carries, 30 fewer than Jeanty. God bless Barry Sanders and everything he stands for. Jeanty, though, runs with balance, vision, and a violent slashing style that makes him like O.J. Simpson and a nightmare to bring down. Only 5'9", but he feels like a bigger back a la Derrick Henry. The only real question scouts have at this moment is his top-end speed since he skipped the 40-yard dash. But when you rack up 2,600 yards in a season, speed starts to feel a little overrated. Plus, damn, have you seen the way he stands in the backfield before he's about to get the ball? That's a man that's ready to strike fear into a defense's heart. He's standing there like Michael Myers after getting up from being stabbed for the 50th time. My biggest question about Jeanty is, the level of competition he was going against. He was playing Mountain West teams, and the best Mountain West team was, of course, Boise State.
All those, big per se SEC schools, Power 5 schools, they didn't see the talent. They didn't see, what I could be, but Boise State saw that. And
did that tick you off and put a chip on your shoulder?
For sure, most definitely.
He put up 200 yards against teams like Nevada and Hawaii, but it took him 30 carries to hit 104 yards in the CFP against Penn State. Of course, a lot of that is offensive line dependent, so we shall see if he was merely sandbagging against inferior teams or if he really is a generational type guy. People love it when you use the word generational when talking about a prospect, don't they? Right behind him is Omarion Hampton, a bruiser from North Carolina who blends size, acceleration, and power in a way that feels eerily similar to Nick Chubb when he came out of Georgia, or hell, Javonte Williams when he came out of North Carolina. Hampton is built for zone running schemes where he can get downhill in a hurry and make defenders pay for trying to arm tackle him. His 4.46 second 40-yard dash and 130-inch broad jump proved he's got the athletic tools to match his punishing running style. The one area he still has work to do is lateral quickness. He's more of a straight line battering ram than a guy who can make people miss in space, but teams looking for a physical chain-moving back will love what he brings to the table. We're trying to get up to 725,000 subscribers by the time the NFL draft starts. We've got some work to do, but we can get there, so please subscribe, especially if you're a football delinquent. Quinshon Judkins, who transferred to Ohio State for his final season, is another back built for heavy workloads. He's got a no-nonsense running style that punishes defenders at the point of contact and keeps the chains moving. If you want to know what a nonsense running style looks like, watch Any Run by Isaiah Pacheco.
They said I run like I bite people.
Judkins is like a young Frank Gore, someone who won't necessarily wow you with breakaway speed, but will grind out yards with consistency and physicality. His 4.48 40-yard time was solid, and his ability to gain yards after contact makes him one of the safer bets in this class. The big question for him, like a lot of power backs, is whether he can contribute enough in the passing game to stay on the field for all 3 downs. One last thing on Judkins is, good Lord, was he unstoppable in college football 25. The spin move was broken and Judkins was the best at it, leading to plays like this. I'm getting a little lightheaded just watching this shit, but if he could do this in a real life game, he might be ahead of Jeanty. Also, he is really good at pushing this thing up that looks like super heavy. I'd say he's strong. For teams looking for more explosiveness and versatility, Bayshul Tootin from Virginia Tech offers exactly that. My toot, my big stinky toot. That's the song Carmi and I have been workshopping every day here in the house. He's one of the fastest backs in the class, running a 4.32 at the combine, and he's drawn comparisons to Alvin Kamara because of his ability to make defenders miss, catch passes out of the backfield, keep his legs churning through contact, and punch dudes at the Pro Bowl. Okay, maybe not that last one. That kind of versatility, though, makes him an asset in today's NFL, where teams increasingly want their backs to be receiving threats as well. The downside, he's not a guy you want carrying the ball 20 times a game between the tackles. He'll need to land in an offense that knows how to use him correctly, or he could get buried in a rotation. Tootin came on really strong at the combine, so he might be a new name for a lot of people, but he averaged 6.3 yards per carry last year at VT, 23 receptions for only 81 yards though. One of the stranger stat lines I've seen for a single season. I'm willing to bet that was a bit of an anomaly. Speed remains a theme in this class, and Dylan Sampson from Tennessee is another burner who can turn small openings into big plays. Now, he's not built to be an every down back, but his acceleration makes him a threat whenever he touches the ball. He reminds scouts of a player like Tony Pollard, someone who might start his career as a change of pace back before growing into a bigger role. Definitely not a crazy athlete for this running back class, but he did tote the rock 258 times last year, so he's got workhorse potential in the mid to later rounds. DJ Giddens from Kansas State is a throwback power runner who makes defenders regret trying to tackle him head on. At 4.43 in the 40-yard dash, he's got more speed than most backs, but his real calling card is his ability to wear down defenses over the course of a game. He fits the mold of backs like A.J. Dillon or James Conner, guys who aren't the flashiest but can kill the clock and end a game early when they get rolling. Staying in the state of Kansas, you also have KU back Devin Neal. I think Devin Neal is the safest bet at the position in the NFL draft. He's as solid a bet as KU advancing past the first round of March Madness. Oh wait, eat rocks and chalk, you fuckers. Seriously though, Devin Neal had just 4 fumbles and 838 touches. Just one in 2024, and he didn't even lose the fumble. He averaged 5.8 per carry with 1,266 yards and was the only real weapon on KU's offense. He absolutely destroyed Colorado in week 2 last year with 207 rushing yards and 3 TDs. He's just a complete back who has great vision, he's elusive, and is solid in the passing game. His ceiling might not be super high, but his floor is very high. And who doesn't want a house with high floors and low ceilings? They're earthquake and hurricane proof after all. The most polarizing back in this class is Cam Skattebo, the Scat Man. Oh God, I turned into Bill Cosby.
I'm a scat man.
I'm a Scat Man.
Am I the scat?
The Scat Man. If you believe in the Arizona State running back, you are indeed a Scat Man. Ultimately, the Scat Man is destined to become a giant sellout and forget why he loves the game altogether. If Cam Skattebo had Christian McCaffrey's speed, he'd be a first-round pick. Skattebo ripped 1,711 yards last season with 21 rushing touchdowns. He also had 605 receiving yards and 3 receiving TDs, and most importantly, 1 passing touchdown. I think the only concern people have about Skattebo at the NFL level is his speed, because literally every other aspect of his game is ridiculous. He forced 110 missed tackles last season. He rushed for over 100 first downs. He's got prototypical running back size at 5'11", 220 pounds. He seeks contact, bounces off defenders like a ruthless prosecutor. I literally watched him break 5 tackles on a single play. We always want to see how these guys stack up against the best competition, and in that close loss to Texas and the CFP, Skattebo had 284 all-purpose yards and 3 total touchdowns after profusely vomiting to begin the game. And even though it came out of the wrong end, he is still the Scat Man. If he ran the 40 at the combine and hit the middle of the pack, there would be 0 questions about him. Put simply, he is the prototypical lunch pail, high motor, grit, locker room guy, which is code for he's really good for a white dude. I thought Greg Cassell broke it down the best on the Ross Tucker podcast.
I'm the scat man.
Even Greg likes the Scat Man.
He doesn't have higher level athletic traits, which shows up at times, but there is absolutely no question that this kid is a tempo setter as a runner.
And then there's TreVeyon Henderson from Ohio State, who might be the biggest boom or bust prospect of the group. He's got legitimate breakaway speed, running a 4.43 at the combine, and when he finds a crease, he can be gone in a flash. Well, that's a snap, but you know what I mean. But he's been inconsistent, and durability concerns have some teams hesitant to invest too heavily in him. He did miss the college football playoff 2 years ago, but he stayed healthy on the Buckeyes title run a year ago. Only 144 carries for OSU a year ago, but he still broke 1,000 yards because he was picking up over 7 yards per clip. That's Ashton Jeanty level. Of course, he was playing behind a dominant offensive line, and he had some stinkers like the loss to Michigan, where he carried the ball 10 times for 21 yards, and he had another bad one versus Nebraska, 10 carries for just 25. I think what NFL teams will be intrigued by is his ability to make plays catching passes. He had 27 receptions for 312 yards last season and 4 TDs. Not the wildest numbers, but potential to have upside as a dual threat in the right system.
You think about Jahmyr Gibbs and how he's used with the Lions, you're going to see similar usage with TreVeyon Henderson, not just as a runner, but using that speed in the passing game.
Further down the board, Montrell Johnson Jr. from Florida is the kind of guy who makes offensive coordinators happy, but doesn't get much hype. He's a physical, between the tackles runner who excels in short yardage situations. He's not the most agile guy, and he probably won't be much of a receiving threat, but teams looking for a reliable goal line option will have him high on their boards. And rounding out the top of my eval are RJ Harvey from UCF and Kalen Johnson from Iowa. Two backs who bring their own unique skills to the table. Harvey is a versatile weapon who can contribute in the passing game, while Johnson is another powerful runner built for grinding out tough yards. Both are probably committee-style backs, and because Johnson is 6'1" and 224 pounds, he didn't score very well in athleticism at the combine. But that's all relative to some really insane athletes at the top of this bunch. Lance Zierlein at the NFL compared him to Tyler Algier, and I think that makes sense to notch his ceiling as a 1B kind of back, splitting carries with another dude.
His balancing act is crazy. You watch this right now. Like, here he is exploding. Like, he just spins on contact, breaks right through it. It shows up over and over again.
What makes this class special isn't just the talent at the top, it's the depth. In most years, guys like Harvey and Johnson would be considered top 5 prospects at their position. This year, they might not even go until the middle rounds. That's how stacked this group is. The 2017 draft was historic because of how many future stars emerged from the later rounds. Could this class be the next 2017? It's possible, and I think it all depends on what we see from Jeanty and Hampton, the two guys that are likely first rounders. If they both hit, the narrative of the past that the first round running back is a waste will officially die. Kill it! Fucking kill it! Running backs are fun and it feels good to draft them early. It feels like buying a Corvette. Maybe the league is having a bit of a midlife crisis. I don't know, but I like it. The NFL might be shifting back toward valuing running backs just a little more thanks to guys like Barkley and Henry and what they did last season. And with a class this deep, teams that wait too long to grab one of these players might end up regretting it. I hope it's you, Kansas City.
Gotta bite people.
If last year taught us anything, it's that great running backs can still win games. You hear that, nerds? The running backs are back, baby. Run the damn ball. Run it right down their fucking throats every single time. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. We'll never stop. Even if you don't subscribe, you fucking asshole.
Am I the scat?